So Arthur finally got the last buff to buff out all of his kit. Yesterday on stream, I was talking to someone in chat. They brought up Arthur hasn't been in the story for a long time. It would be very nice if he got a buff because who knows when he'll show up again. I haven't read the story, so I don't know if Arthur's finally just gonna stick around for a while. If our goals are starting to align or not. But yeah, I don't have Arthur on any of my accounts. Who knows? I might sneak him like this morning doing a multi or two on his banner. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, let's get to it. Base attack 12.4k, pretty much 12.5. This is almost 1,000 above the midpoint for 5 stars where they want to be. So good, just means good things for damage scaling. These days, pretty much everyone can use Black Rail when they're farming, even if they have a 30 battery. So this is just going to get way, way better, especially considering in his own kit, he doesn't really have MP damage like that. So being able to farm with Black Rail for him is really, really going to help out his damage way more than most other characters because of how they have buffed this character. Like, Artoria is supposed to be our Saber. Why did they buff Arthur ridiculously? Like, it feels like Artoria is literally held back by her mentality, and Arthur doesn't have the same issues. Again, I haven't read Fate Prototype. I don't know what goes on in that series outside the little clips I've seen with Ozymandias, Arash, Paracelsus, and other characters from that series that have interacted in FGO. I don't really know his whole deal with Ayako and Ayaka and her sister in Prototype. I'm not talking about the one from Strange Fake. I'm talking about Prototype. Uh, right. Moving on. Star Weight, Star Gen. These are normal Saber numbers. MP charges healthy at 0.84. Even though he has 2 hits on these arts cards. It is done with the intention of critting. And you'll also notice his deck is very similar to OG Artoria, but this extra attack is just far, far better. So in terms of CEs, he has Lawful Good, Saber, and then Costumoning because he does have this Butler outfit. Alright, now to move on. So, they have buffed this character like crazy over the years. This skill used to be a 1 turn 50% mana burst. Now it's 3 turns and they gave him MP gen on the side. So even if you're not using Koi and Sky to Buster Farm, him being a crit DPS, he would actually be able to spam his MP fairly often. Second skill. This used to be a basic instinct. You'll notice that his kit was extremely similar to Artoria's kit. Like vanilla. They had pretty much the same exact skills. But they've always been buffing them in different directions. Now that they're finally done with Arthur, they probably should finish buffing out OG Saber now. And make her charisma really, really fun. But now, it goes from 15 stars to 30, and they gave him 50% crit damage on top of it. And again, he's a Buster Servant. He's going to be double stacking all of this. He's a Buster Servant that can double stack 50% Buster on the second turn. Not even the third turn, the second. I'm trying to think of in terms of like, should you use Kets or another Koyon? Like, what would get him more damage? I actually think that you could, if you use Kets in the farm instead of Koyon Sky, you would get more damage out of it. Because even though you're trading 30 Buster, He has way more Buster in his kit than most other servants do. Like him taking a minus 20 hit to his Buster, he still has like I think what 30 40 more than most other characters have, with like good base stats too. So yeah, and the buff to his MP, it doesn't change any. It only make things better. His buff only makes things better too. Last part, again, stack with all his buff stacking. This was a one turn power mod against super large enemies and a static 20 battery. Buff made it last 3 turns and gave him a charisma and upgraded his battery from 20 to 30. They gave this character literally all of the damage, and he was held back by his unbuffed MP. But that's what buff we're talking about today. Like the way they buffed this character, it's like they didn't even plan on buffing his MP, or they knew it would be like a good couple years like down the line before they would even touch it. So what does that say about the game that they're buffing Arthur's MP? Fan service. All right, passive skills, 20% res, and then 8% quick. He only has 1 quick card, so this really doesn't matter. So he's going to need mana loading if you have plans of trying to use Black Rail. So this is one of the few times... Yeah, no, this is one of the few times where I'm actually going to say you probably should pick this one over a Pen 5. Again, unless you're using Kets. If you're using Kets, that's something different. Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure about this. Cause it's like his cooldowns are so low, he does not need a Pen 5. Then you're at 4 turns, and essentially like if he didn't have the battery, he could be double stacking this on the first turn. Like all of his skills he would be able to double stack in the first turn. Really, really wouldn't advise that because that's wasting too much charge. But I mean, that's something to consider if you need that level of damage up front and it's not a 3-turn farm, it's like a 2-turn. Oh well, it doesn't really matter anymore because we can swap a pens, but at MP1 you can only have 1 at a time after Bond 6. At MP2 and higher, it really just depends on how far you go. Most people don't Bond Grill a servant at MP1 to go to like Bond 11 to get that second append. But I've done it for characters like Alco, so it's not outside the realm of possibility. I am now doing monthly $5 giveaways as a way to give back to my channel. I recently hit 500 subs and I want to keep giving back to the people that support me. All you have to do is comment on one of my videos during the month. Doesn't even have to be a video I make that month, and you are entered to win. 5 people can win every month with 1 win per person per month. Only 1 comment is counted as an entry every month. I will send you the prize in a way that works for both of us. Thank you for watching. Now let's get back to the video. All right, so we are going to show just the original MP first. 3-hit AoE Buster, and he got MP damage. And it was 10% per overcharge. Not great at the start, but 50% at OC5. Not the worst. Alright, so did they upgrade it? Nope. Okay, so we are going over here and seeing the buff. Okay, and let me zoom in. Okay, so same stuff here. So, overcharge, nothing changed. He got super effective against beast class. Not just the beast we summon, all beasts. So Koyanskaya and Tunguska, Koyanskaya in all the other places where you're fighting her in that black void, Olympus. Um, I can't remember if we fight her earlier than Olympus. I remember the Olympus fight so clearly. And then I know we fight that version of her in Tunguska. But literally any time there is a beast, you can bring Arthur and wait. Okay, sorry. I actually misread this. So I thought it was like 400%. No, no, no. Okay, so the super effective damage is flat 150, and then this where it says level, it just means it's scaling with the MP. That's still 50% more damage on top of everything against beast servants. Uh, and it's not like beast servants resist the 7 knight classes, or not all of them. I think you Olga has like, what was it? Ruler attack and then foreigner resistance. She was like a hybrid of those two. So unlike Draco, she would be taking, I think, neutral damage, and then Arthur would just get the 50% on top of that. But there's still more to this. They gave him Buster ramp up, and then a charge for the party of 10%. So people were saying that this buff was awesome, but they wanted the MP buff because if they gave him 10%, he wouldn't have actually needed to get the skill buffed. He wouldn't have needed the 30. There are ways you could have gotten around it, but obviously getting the buff like this is just way easier for farming and made him more usable until they buff the MP. Now this is kind of overkill, and with the Buster ramp up, swapping from Koyanskaya to Kets, if you're able to actually do it and have your cooldowns right and your charge, yeah, no, that is so different. The level of literally on the first MP, you're gonna make up the difference between using Kets and Koyanskaya on the Buster alone. And if you're not fighting mana attribute, because are there mana attribute beasts? Oh yeah, and it's every single one of these. Every single one of these Arthur is gonna get super effective. So he really just went from just a generic Buster farmer, essentially, to the Beast Slayer. Like basic. Okay, no. Here's the actual comparison. He is the AOE Musashi. When Musashi was introduced and she was slaying alter egos, he's slaying beasts like this. I think that is like literally the closest comparison we're gonna get for a while. Like without being like class advantage to the beast class, he's gonna probably hit harder than most of them. All right. Moving back over here. Bon CE. Uh, he has the same effect as Artoria, 15% attack to the party. And yeah, no, that's Arthur. I have never been more tempted to actually summon for this character now than I have been. I really, really don't want to waste Saint Quartz on him, but I probably am gonna at least throw a multi or two on my ult account, just to try to get him. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to do it through not GSSR because older characters don't show in GSSRs anymore. But a Destiny summon, he's probably going to the top of the list now. I'm actually kind of frustrated on this because he could have been on my GSSR instead of Shiki, and then who knows what would have happened. Because on the Destiny summon, I got Grand Roma, and I have Grand Roma on another account. So who knows? By changing that thing, fate might have been different, but can't change the past. All right, time to start streaming. Peace. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like or sub. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.